From the great Atlantic Ocean to the wide Pacific shore, from the queen of flowing mountains to the South Belle by the shore. She's mighty tall and handsome and known well by all. She's the combination of the Wabash Cannonball. Our eastern states are dandy, so the people always say. From New York to St. Louis and Chicago, by the way. From the hills of Minnesota where the rippling waters fall, no changes can be taken on the Wabash Cannonball.
Hello everyone, showing my new mask. The future is unwritten, never forget that. Alright, so that even by my standards kind of ridiculous introduction. That was the Wabash Cannonball, performed by Roy Acuff. He was born on this day in like 1901 or something like that. That recording was from 1940. That's a whole lot of people have done that, including the great Johnny Cash. But it is actually an old song, even older than that, from the at least 1800s. A couple of references where it might have come from. It was definitely referring to a train, which I don't know why I brought my little boat there, but I didn't have a train with me, so the boat kind of, symbolized the journey, right? But the Rock Island Line, which basically went from like Chicago all the way down to the southern coast, I think it ends in New Orleans. Definitely about that, but there's also a version that even older, they think it might have come from, if you heard the story of Paul Bunyan, the famed lumberjack with the blue ox. Supposedly he had a brother who, Paul Bunyan was this like mythical, legendary, like kind of worker, right? His brother was cut of the same cloth, and the story went that he built a train that went all over the place, and he built the train so it could go so fast it reached its destination before it even left the place that it was coming from. So just wrap your head around that kind of metaphysical thing. But supposedly this train went so fast it finally went off its track, and now the Wabash Cannonball is somewhere in outer space, presumably going forever. So Wabash Cannonball, interesting little backstory and kind of thing I love to talk about. Okay, so what else we have? Where's my notes? My notes for the day. Hours of prep going into this, right? So today I said is September 15th. On this day in 1981, Sandra Day O'Connor was approved by the Senate to become the first U.S. Supreme Court justice, the first female Supreme Court justice. Only took us a few hundred years to get it. She was appointed by Reagan, relatively moderate voice on the court. She was actually born in El Paso, went to school in El Paso. So Sandra Day O'Connor, on this day in 1981, became the first female Supreme Court justice. About time, huh? Let's see. We also have on this day in 1857, William Taft was born. And Taft was the only person in U.S. history who was both a president and Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. See, speaking of important dates in the U.S. Supreme Court, highest court of the land, right? Chief Justice is kind of like the leader of the Supreme Court. If you're on the if you're on the Supreme Court, you are considered a Supreme Court justice, and the boss of them is the kind of like the president of the Supreme Court is the Chief Justice, and he was the 10th Chief Justice. He became president after Teddy Roosevelt didn't run in 1904, and so Wilson. So yeah, he was president from 1908 rather to 1912, and he and Teddy Roosevelt had been president and had promised not to run more than 2 terms because back before the 22nd Amendment said no one can run more than 2 terms. It just was precedent that people do it because Washington he stepped down after 2 terms. And so it was kind of an American history that the presidents just don't serve for more than 8 years because, you're not a king, right? And so that was kind of precedent. And so Teddy Roosevelt had finished off McKinley's first term and then had run for a second and won, and stepped down as kind of to fulfill this promise. But then when Taft, who was Teddy Roosevelt's vice president before Taft became president, Taft basically didn't do what Teddy Roosevelt was like incredibly popular person. Like he went on a famous safari at Africa, and like all the newspapers followed him, and it was almost like a reality show figure. And Teddy Roosevelt was like a bigger than life, like one of the first like political superstars kind of in this country, right? And so he was really popular. And when Taft didn't do what Teddy Roosevelt thought he should do, the kind of Republican Party split, and Teddy Roosevelt actually formed his own Bull Moose Party because I guess Roosevelt come with like a moose, and there's a whole backstory to it. But at any rate, they split the Republican vote, which brought Woodrow Wilson to power, and so the Republicans split the vote, and the Democrat Wilson became president in 1912, and there's a long Wilson, a lot of implications to that. But Taft was born on this day. Then he became Supreme Court justice in the 20s, and he was actually rather proud of I think he was more proud of a Supreme Court justice than he was being president. Showing you that like can't believe everything you hear on Facebook, and there's even like some history books and stuff you have to like look at. There's always, I've seen in multiple places this story, like Taft was a really big dude, and there's this legend that he got stuck in the in the White House bathtub, and that actually is not true. That came out a couple of decades later, kind of like someone released like a book about behind the scenes in the White House, and I think it's probably started because Taft was so big. They requested a special bathtub, which I'm going to show you here on my computer. That is a special bathtub they requested for Taft that actually weighed a ton, and you can see there are 4 people in there. So that's a big bathtub. He did not get stuck in there. So that's probably where the story started, but that's a legend I've heard repeated by like lots of places, lots of people. So it just goes to show you, always check your sources, right? If you're reading something, make sure it's a good source and check it out, and like just do your research. Although I wish it'd be kind of funny to think of being stuck in a bathtub, but didn't happen. All right, we got some kiddo birthdays to go over. All right, we have Capriel New. We have Pete Alvarez. And that's it. So happy birthday to you both. We are going to close on, as we always do, on the 4-way test. So here we go. The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Our virtue this month is compassion, which means just we care about other people, being empathetic with other people, be nice to each other, and help us all make it through until we're back at school. We go do everything normal, and so just help us. Being nice to each other helps everyone at a time like this. So know that I'm missing you, and I can't wait to see you. And I hope to see all y'all at our reverse parade tomorrow, 5:30. Just line up, and we'll come around and wave and say hi, and you can pick up some school supplies, stuff like that. So I'm missing you. Can't wait to see you. Hopefully see you tomorrow. All right. Bye, guys. Remember, the future is unwritten.